Okay, everybody. This is Sheets, and we are fighting some technical difficulties, but we are overcoming it. And you know what we're going to do today? We're doing something we haven't done in a while. And that is an NBA preview, and it seems a little silly because I mean just the lineups and everything are just don't even resemble what they are even after lock. But we have a little bit of time today, and just to stay flexible, we're gonna go through it because like immediately, like right now, I see literally like one team which is like just dominating my values right now. So I guess we got to talk about all this stuff. And I still think there's got to be some value to getting people prepared. And then we'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, the last like bunch of slates, there's also been other stuff to do. They've had golf, we've had multiple baseball slates or whatever it is. But now we got a little bit of time, so we may as well do it. Talk about what's been going on in the NBA with all these rule outs and stuff.
That's just what happens. I mean, you can't cram these guys into a short schedule, which they tried to do, and without expecting that this is going to happen. I 100% knew this was going to happen. Nothing surprising to me just this time of year.
But even so, I mean, just as what was going on with Dennis Schroeder last night, it kept on changing their minds, about he's playing, he's not playing, he's playing, he's not playing. That's extremely frustrating.
Yeah, it's really, really tough with some of that stuff. And I don't know where that specific one came from or what that was about, but yeah, it's weird. We'll do our best.
All right, so why don't we start the first game? And what do you? I mean, this seems like something you want to do, right? I mean, it seems like you want to play guys from this game. Do you like Beal more than Westbrook? You like Westbrook more than Beal? You like Zion from the New Orleans side? I mean, everything I've mentioned is pretty expensive with respect to, I guess you could say that Beal isn't that expensive. What do you like from this game?
Westbrook, some Beal, okay. And nothing really. Like Zion is probably going to smash, but I don't know if I can pay $10K for him and play one of those other guys. And if I could, though, he would be the guy I'd run it back with. There's you could make an argument for Steven Adams. All this pace might not be great for him, but his price is reasonable, and he should also have an easy time inside. But as of right now, it's just Westbrook and Beal for me. Lonzo's supposed to play, so that sort of kills a little bit of the interest in the other guys.
So what is going on with Detroit that these guys are rating to be the top zillion values? Oh, because everybody's out. So Grant is out, Plumlee is out. Yikes. And fortunately or unfortunately, they're playing OKC, so it's not like the Detroit guys are out, so they're going to get blown out. As a matter of fact, I couldn't even guess who the favorite is in this game. Who is the favorite?
Detroit.
Detroit is the favorite?
Yeah.
These two, I mean, look, when Alabama plays football in college, everybody kind of jokes, oh my God, these guys are just as good as the Jets, or whatever it is. And obviously it's not the case. The Jets are probably like a 50-point favorite over Alabama, whatever. But like when you see these two teams like Detroit and OKC, it makes you really wonder like if these teams are any better than some college teams. I mean, it's really sad that this is the type of overall talent level that has to endure. And it's not like these guys aren't awesome players, relative to the rest of the world. But I mean, these are two NBA teams with just basically no players right now. It's like it's really brutal. So for me, just right now, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like literally 7 Detroit guys being like in my top 10 pretty much. Killian Hayes, Diallo, Stewart, Bay, Okafor. Wow, Okafor. What are you going to do with this mess? Josh Jackson is actually an actual player, which is kind of weird to say. And Saban Lee too. What are you doing with this? You got to play like 4 of these guys, no?
Well, I don't think I'm playing Okafor.
Okay.
I don't see the reason to do that. Stewart is the obvious one. You play Stewart.
Okay.
Diallo would be Diallo and Hayes second and third. I think Diallo smashes against his old team, and he actually has some narrative and minutes opportunity and stuff like that. Jackson would be next, and then Bay for me. but I think you're going to play 2 or 3 of them. The problem is, as we've seen every single night, there's been so much stuff after lock that you're missing out on potentially better value later, but there's not that many later games. So
Okay.
it's not as bad as some other nights. And then the run back is going to be interesting because I don't know if we really know who's going to play for OKC yet. I'm not buying into everybody playing this. We saw Lou Dort sit out last time. Maybe they will, but it would open up some potentially more value. As of right now, the guys who I would be interested in if I was going to play any run back would be Baisley, Dort, and Maladon. But I don't love any of them, and they're all just sort of fine for me.
I'd like to tilt a little bit, if you wouldn't mind. Okay. So the other day, I had, where is this? I had a sweat in the, in like, I told you in a FanDuel like qualifier, right?
Mhm.
So all I needed to happen was, was Moses Brown, okay? Just like not get like 15 fantasy points or whatever in like the last quarter or something like that. They started, it was a 35-point game, okay? So they started a run in the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh my God, they're really gonna let him run in the fourth quarter, even though the game is totally over. It's a 35-point game. And then with like 6 minutes to go, the game was told, they took him out. I'm like, yes, got him. That's the end. They're gonna sit him down. And for just some inexplicable freaking reason, they put him back in the game after a 3-minute break to close in a 40-point game. Uber tilting. Sorry, that was all I had.
No, that's fine.
So I was wondering if Moses Brown would be a good play. Probably on FanDuel, he's probably 5K again. We have to look at that.
On FanDuel, he is, I'm pulling it up, 5.4.
Yep. Yeah, I guess these Detroit values make sense. And right now, the OKC value
Brown does make sense, by the way. I actually didn't say him, but he does make sense.
Who?
Moses Brown.
On DraftKings?
I mean, what do we want from the guy exactly? Like, he just put up 40,
right?
Put 37 the game before that against Utah. He's playing consistent minutes. Yep. He's got upside. And if there's a rundown, I mean, I'm not saying you should go out of your way to play him. I'm just saying he's fine. He's
obviously they want to give him minutes.
Very clearly. And I think he's got I think his minutes floor is actually pretty high, unless like something weird happens and they get, somebody else, is playing extremely well that they want to give some run to.
And obviously you don't have to run it back either.
And it's no coincidence, by the way. We talk about how revenge isn't a real thing. The guy you play against in practice, so against Philadelphia, the one game Brown got cut minutes. Tony Bradley played 26 minutes in that game, which is definitely an outlier for him. It's the most he's played this season, except for one game. And he scored 42 fantasy points against Philly, but that was his former team. He played against Embiid before. It made sense that they would put him out there against Embiid rather than, I believe it was Embiid at the time. I don't even actually remember whether Embiid was playing, but it makes sense to me why he would miss that one. So I do think Moses Brown is safe for 28 minutes. Speaking of
Philly, it seems to me that the only thing that's been stopping Embiid from getting like 80 fantasy points, is like blowouts or him walking off, or going to the locker room or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's
Look at the minutes. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't even had to play the minutes in most of these games. He didn't have, he would have put up 70 plus against Dallas. OKC, he was destroying, and they just killed him. I got to grab something really quick. Do you mind pausing for 1 second?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Thank
you. I'm trying to find the pause button here.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I feel as though you could play him again, no?
Love it. I think he's he's going to be low owned again too. In what should be a competitive game. And I just listened to a podcast with him this morning, or the first thing I did this morning, I was listening to Zach Lowe's podcast with him, talking about how he really believes he's still the MVP and all this stuff like that. Like I've been talking all year, and he's going to play for that MVP on these big games. And we should probably double check on a Friday. This seems like it would be the natural ESPN game, right? So because Embiid is smashing every one of these spots, maybe we're going to take a quick look here. And by the way, there's probably, the blowout risk in this one is obviously significantly less than any of the other games. Nationally, NBA on TV. Let's see who we got. TV schedule. Let's see what we got here. Sorry about this. It is Is that right? No. Oh, there we go. Yeah. It's LA and Philly. All right. So I'm going to have some Embiid, and look, if you could just get one different pivot and get like a 5% owned Embiid into a lineup, you're going to be just different. And you play him with Westbrook. Raw points are going to matter because we have tons of value. Immediately, that's my natural thought, is to start my lineups with those two and then use the value.
Anything else in this game?
No, I feel like that's a pretty strong take there. I think that like either Paul George or Kawhi, if one of them sits, is totally logical.
Well, one of them is totally sitting, right?
Probably. Not necessarily. This is a nationally televised game. It's I actually don't know if that will happen. I think we'll see. But I do either way. Embiid is the only play. I think Danny Green's really cheap, but you don't want to start trying to get that kind of value, I don't think, in these situations.
I had another tilting situation over here. So as we go into the Brooklyn game, so I'm not exactly sure why this was, but so Kyrie Irving, I had like a Kyrie Irving Embiid lineup, right? And Kyrie Irving had like 700,000 fantasy points. He was just killing it.
In the second half, he did, yeah. He had like 5 at halftime. Like
No. Kyrie Irving was killing it the whole game in this one. Okay.
What?
Yeah, trust me.
Okay.
He had like, dude, because I'm telling you, I was set up for all kinds of freaking juiciness at halftime. He had like I'm telling you, 30 fantasy points.
I believe you.
And then he played his normal rotation. They were down by like 15 or whatever. They took him out of the game, whether coincidentally or not.
He went on a run.
When Embiid was whatever, and he was out of the game, and they just never put him back in. They lost by 6.
That's because they came back without him.
Who cares? I don't. I almost feel it was like freaking fishy. I didn't get it at all. Or there's like some hard minutes. I literally didn't get it. But maybe I was just biased or whatever. I'm like, okay, game's still competitive. Embiid's out. Just bring them in and try to win the game. I guess they weren't interested. I don't know.
Yeah,
the whole thing was weird to me. But anyway, I guess he looks okay again today. No. Not really.
I mean, I just rate the other guys ahead of him, but he's fine. Like, I mean, he was outstanding the other night, obviously, when they really needed him against Philly. I'm not sure how much that'll be the case against Charlotte. And I just don't feel the need to I've got guys who are around his price. I like Embiid already, and I like Westbrook, so it's hard for me to get to him. And I'm not going to play a bunch of lineups. I'm not that crazy.
You like it? You like any Charlotte?
Well, Caleb Martin, I mean, we got to talk about this because they're missing a lot. You know what I mean? Now they have no Graham. So Caleb Martin should get a lot more of a role, you would think. And he's actually hit like a few, he had a terrible game last time out, but he had 40 in the game before that. Serious upside here. Should play plenty of minutes. Wanamaker's still questionable. If Wanamaker's out, I would go right back to him. And I also like Jalen McDaniels again. I don't care about the price. Oh, I want to mention one other thing. Let's not, just because it didn't work out the other night for Claxton which is pretty expected against Embiid, that Jordan would play more. Let's not write off Claxton here. This is a spot where I think you could see a lot more Claxton, and I think he'll be a lot more effective than he has been lately. Now, is that enough with all the value on the slate? Probably not, but maybe it is. Maybe if you're adding it to the other value, maybe Claxton can put up that 35 fantasy point game and 10x. I think he's really got a chance to.
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm saying that same night where they had the Irving, the other point guard I had was Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
He played 43 freaking minutes in that game.
Terry Rozier?
Yep.
Yeah, Terry Rozier is going to be, if they're going to stay close, it's going to be because Terry Rozier. So I like Terry Rozier too. I don't think I'm going to get to Bridges, but I don't think it's bad at all.
He was fine in that game too. I had like all those guys.
Yeah, Rozier, McDaniels, Martin, and then depending on Wanamaker if he plays. And if Wanamaker plays, I think he's in play too.
I agree with that.
And less so, maybe a little bit less of a bump to Caleb Martin, but we'll see about whether he plays or not. We should know that well beforehand. But it's funny because we're not doing the game stacks as much anymore this year. This year is a year of team stacking. because of all this stuff.
Yep.
So we like to get little pieces of Charlotte. You want to, if you're setting a thing, maybe you have one Charlotte player in every lineup and something like that, or maybe you could probably have two in a lot of lineups actually. And then you want to have at least two Detroit guys probably in most of your lineups, especially if you're playing cash games. But that's still probably something I'm going to do anyway. So I actually think there is some business in this game, but only Claxton for me on the Brooklyn side.
So Orlando, Toronto, we are not worried about deciding whether to play Vooch or Aaron Gordon or Fournier, right, for Orlando against Toronto's Lowry, Van Vliet, and Siakam in Toronto, because none of those things are happening. Number one, the game's not in Toronto, right? Number two, there's no anybody playing on Orlando anymore. Everybody's out for Toronto. What in the hell is going on with the NBA, right? So now what you have is a situation where you're going to have 100% owned Chris Boucher, which is going to be supported by projections, which is going to be scaring the crap out of me. So that I wanted to ask you about. No Anunoby, no Siakam. I forgot to mention no Anunoby as well. So there's going to be Boucher popping. I presume Birch is going to be decent. Rodney Hood is 3,200. I don't know who's actually going to end up playing in this game, but Malachi Flynn is going to be huge again, especially on FanDuel. The whole game is kind of a shit show. And Orlando, you have Cole Anthony is probably decent value. I guess if I had to pick my favorite Toronto guy, I think I would prefer Birch, honestly, to Boucher. I just would.
I'm 100% with you. I love Birch in this matchup. Let's not forget, this team kind of held him on the bench that he's going up against.
Yep.
And then got rid of him.
Yep.
And now you don't think he can go play against these guys? He was better than the other guys they have out there. And he's playing minutes. I think Birch is like, this is the problem with Embiid. This is why he'll be low owned, is like Birch and Stewart are such a natural, obvious center combination thing. Center and point guard is really loaded today, so it's really hard. I mean, the way I look at it, I like Flynn even at 6,200. Flynn put up 37 the other night, and he was 4 for 15 from the floor. Like This guy I mean, what has he been? 37, 39, 44. He had the 119 game, which was a bad one. And then the 29, 33, 43, 33. He's consistently been good at this price, and this is a good matchup. I'm not going to – there's a lot of good point guards out there, so it's kind of hard. Even Paul Watson at 3K could end up playing a ton of minutes here. So I'm really curious to see how the starting lineup shakes out. And I like you, I'm more inclined to fade Boucher here than anybody else. And, of course, that's always scary against a weak team that doesn't have any rim protection. But – I would much rather just
rim protection though. I mean, I'm not worried about Boucher at the rim, right? I mean, he's going to shoot threes
dunks all the time. All of his shots are dunks or threes. He went half the season with not shooting any of the shots other than dunks or threes.
I didn't even know he made dunks. I just know he shot threes. I don't even know.
Well, he gets tons of rebounds that would be included in that, and he's a monster rebounder. Sometimes, which is really weird, but he's had like some 20 rebound games. But yeah, it's mostly going to be Birch for me. I am open to Hood. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do about that. Gary Harris on the other side, you can make the same argument you're making for Hood, I think. And they're going to give him a shot. Gary Harris can play basketball, but he's not like an offensive guy. But he did have 6 assists in the last game. He put up 29 fantasy points, 3,600. So both he and Hood are on my, let's see if we end up doing this list, or are these guys going to be better than Caleb Martin? That's basically how I'm looking at them today. And the one other guy is Cole Anthony is getting his minutes back, hasn't quite gotten them all the way back, but at 5,100 against this team, certainly could be in play. A lot of guys in play today. It's really hard to narrow the field with so many values and question marks and stuff.
I wouldn't sleep on this Denver-Houston game. I don't want to say games like. From a game stack perspective, I think Houston could put up a good game if they have all these guys back. If Wall is playing, I don't know why I think that, but I'd be inclined to try it. Like if I'm going to play a Jokic lineup, maybe to try it with John Wall or even Christian Wood, or maybe both of them or something like that. I mean, you look at just even you game log watch John Wall, and he does have some clunkers also, but he'll be over 50 a couple of times, then he'll have like a really bad game, and then he'll have a 55 or whatever it is. I think that could be I don't know. I have a feeling about that one. So I might try if I'm going to play Jokic, which obviously rates to be a great play, right? I mean, he's going to be really popular also.
But that's the crazy part. So I don't understand how these guys can all be popular. We have the center value. You have Boucher, who's supposed to be mega strong, and then Jokic. How does it work? I get why that makes Embiid like 2% owned, but if you're really going to tell me that Jokic is a better play than Embiid, let's say Jokic is 35% and Embiid is 5%, that is an absolute.
That's a travesty. Yeah.
And I actually don't think I don't see them as being different particularly here. I really don't. I mean, look, Houston's terrible on the inside. The Clippers are terrible on the inside. The Clippers game should stay closer with Philly. And Embiid's playing for add to national television and MVP narrative, which, Jokic is going for it too. But Jokic has been playing all year. He doesn't need it. He's just Jokic. He's not going to go. Jokic doesn't have a narrative where he goes out there and he tries to score 40 points. If he does it, it just happens in the flow of the game. He's just a great basketball player. He doesn't have that kind of thing. Embiid does.
Right.
And this is that to me is your awesome pivot of the day. Where I have it. I am less interested in this game than you are. I think Monte Morris minutes, I'm interested to see what they are going to be, because if he's able to play 26, 28 again, we played 26, so I guess we can assume he will. But if that gets bumped up to 28 or 30, which it will be probably at some point soon, I'm definitely a little bit interested in him in this matchup. The guy who look, we don't have a lot of good small forwards and power forwards in the slate. The guy who's been unbelievably good lately, and I think maybe smashes in this type of matchup, is Michael Porter Jr.
Interesting.
And I don't think he's going to have especially high ownership. In fact, I actually, for the first time since he's been in Denver, I would consider Aaron Gordon as well. I have no respect for Houston's defense whatsoever. Like you, I think if everybody plays, they have a chance to keep it closer. But they're going to give up a ton of points here. So I'm very interested in those guys, but I just want to see how the build works by the end, because I don't know how I'm going to end up getting them in exactly.
It's pretty good. Christian Wood.
He is good, but has he? I mean, can we even? Yeah, what he does have is the forward eligibility. Like, you're right. Maybe this is a terrible matchup. For him.
They brought him back somewhat, whatever. Then since in the last 5 games, he's been playing 35 minutes, and he's got a couple of ceilings in a row. I mean, not bad.
I have him on my list, but I'd like him a little better on FanDuel, because you need the power forwards and he's cheaper. But
makes sense.
But I do love that power forward eligibility. Maybe you're right with this one, Sheets. The only problem is, we've done this over and over again against Denver and Jokic, and it's not just Jokic, it's the way that Denver plays defense. It just doesn't work. The big men just never get there against them.
Right, right.
It would be almost nice if they had Olynyk in there, you could argue that then you get a little bit of that taken away from the basket. Maybe it actually does open it up for Wood. So I'm kind of into that, Sheets. I can get behind it.
Memphis, Chicago. Can I talk you into any of that or no?
I mean, look, I know that the game, you have to, sometimes not feel great when you see the game logs, but we know Ja has a ceiling. Great, obviously, matchup for him. Too many good guards for me to probably prioritize him, but he's, he's on a 50-person list for me. Joe Val, I'm going to X out just because I have too many centers.
Just so many centers, man.
And I love Joe Val, and I think he smashes against the Bulls probably, but there's just too many centers.
Yep.
Vooch is mildly interesting too, and especially over on FanDuel. By the way, Vooch against his former team in Orlando the other night at 9,100 on FanDuel.
Oh no, what did he do?
He was 1% on. He put a 54, nothing great, but a great game still. What you'd want. Yeah. But he was 1% owned. I was like, what is? And everybody played Jokic and Embiid, and he outscored. He was just beneath Embiid and just beneath Jokic, but he was a lot cheaper, obviously. Yeah, and the one guy who no one ever plays because he always has the minutes and he often doesn't get there, but just put up 27, it's 7x. I'm not going to end up getting there probably, but on FanDuel he's 3,800, so Patrick Williams is probably a little bit in play. And I'm wondering if at one point they just pull the okey doke and say, okay, we're going to let Lauri Markkanen play a full game again.
I don't think so.
He's so cheap. He's so freaking cheap.
Yeah, I just don't think that they're doing that with him.
I know. I think you're right. They like Tice better, and Tice is probably the better play. Tice has gotten there every single day. By the way.
Really?
He's been at 29, 25, and 32 the last 3 games. One of them against this Memphis team. He's 3,700. So this added to the slew of value here, which makes guys like Caleb Martin seem less exciting. But I mean, yeah, man, there's a lot of value on this slate. So I think I'm mostly off this game because it doesn't have the other pieces that I need. But I do think Ja and then those potential values are additional values to the ones we already mentioned.
So I don't know how many lineups I'm going to play, but however many it's going to be, if it's more than 3, I'm going to play one lineup with the following. I am going to take a shot, given even with all the freaking centers that we've talked about. I'm going to take a shot with one lineup with Cat on the one side and Butler going back to Minnesota on the other. And I don't even know what the price is, but actually I do know what the price is. But I am gonna be trying.
I love the part of the idea. So I love the Butler thing. I have him as my get Embiid, Westbrook, and Butler in together. And you
nice.
And maybe you get 200 from those guys, which is really possible. I mean, it's not impossible that you could get 200 from 3 guys. Butler, I mean, give me a narrative with Butler, and I'm just going to play it all day long. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to go out and shoot 50 times, but what it does mean is he'll probably run everything through him. I just really like him here. I hope Minnesota can keep it close. I can't bring myself to play Towns at probably higher ownership than Cat at a higher price in a terrible.
Could be higher ownership than Embiid, you mean?
Embiid, I mean.
Yeah.
And he's in a terrible matchup. I mean,
terrible.
Why are we trying to play guys against Miami? I keep saying this, like, it just doesn't. They're just good defensively. You know what I mean? It's not what I want to do personally. Now, will I throw one into a $10 or something like that? Maybe I will because
that's what I'm saying
with the Butler. But yeah, I just don't think that I'm going to do. I am heavily on Butler though.
Yep. Anything else in that game?
No, I got some thoughts on this one though, because this is what I love is I think that the spend ups I like are going to be the low owned spend ups, and I'm very into that. And another guy I just listened to a podcast with is in our next game, which I'm going to talk about.
Okay, so I like.
Oh, you go ahead.
I mean, Lillard's not exactly showing up as a great play for me, but he's going to be 0% owned, I suppose. So it's certainly something to consider. What do you got for me?
I think if you're not playing Lillard on FanDuel tonight, you got.
Oh, I didn't even look at FanDuel. Okay.
I mean, it's crazy. He's going to be low owned over there too. But he's 8,600. Mm-hmm. But okay, so Lillard. First of all, another guy who's in the MVP race. I just listened to him on a podcast yesterday about how he really believes he is the MVP and he doesn't know what else he can do to prove it, and he's just going to have to try and see what he can do over the last couple weeks of the season. Any little extra thing is good enough for me. Mostly that I like this as a close game. I like that there's good defenders on San Antonio because other than Drew Holiday, no one can lock up Damian Lillard. And I just think that this is a spot we could see an absolute explosion out of him. It's going to be fast paced. He is coming off of 50. So he finally had that, a nice game at least, but he's been shooting the ball really poorly. Hasn't been shooting as much. The assist numbers have been really good. So if he can get that shot down, and have one of his 9 for 17 3-point shooting days.
Right.
Looking at, the guy's got the upside that's just so immense. I just really like him as my other spend up. So those are the guys I'm considering between. Now, I don't know that I need to do the Lillard thing because I feel more confident in the other plays. Maybe Lillard and Butler I guess they're the two that I'm sort of debating, but Butler fills the small forward need that I need. And then on the other side, I think that I absolutely think you can play DeRozan. He actually should get ownership here. It's a great matchup, but more importantly, so we have all these great plays in the, at the high prices, at the low prices, the middle-ish, which is DeRozan is at 7,900 at small forward at the forward positions is really important because we have all this value at center and guard and some of it at small forward and power forward, but we need to get if we want to get anybody to spend up for in those spots, which is you're going to have to do if you spend down at all those other spots, DeRozan kind of fits in nicely. So he would be another guy I'd consider.
You want to finish up with oh my God, when is that New York Dallas game, the last game of the slate?
That's because it's the ESPN game.
The Knicks at Dallas is an ESPN game.
Yeah, you know who's been awesome in these ESPN games, and I'm not going to play him tonight, but I just mentioned that he's been unbelievably good, and he's just been unbelievably good all season. Is Julius Randle? Like, there's a different path to this season where Julius Randle, like, he could be an All NBA third team or something. Like, he's been so good. I mean, look at his, and he's like, you talk about consistency. This guy is like the most consistent. You're getting 50 from him, like basically all the time. They have nobody to contend with him down low. He should just absolutely crush here. I don't know at 96 that I'm going to get there. But I do really like him. Maybe at FanDuel at 92 is a little bit easier. Again, the power forward isn't so loaded. So I do like him. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Does Luka put up a good game recently or no?
Most of his games have been more middle. It's funny, he's playing well in real life and actually been really, really efficient, but it hasn't led to fantasy greatness that we would hope for. So I don't think we want to play him terribly here. Now, if this game was in New York, I would have more of a lean towards maybe taking a shot on Porzingis.
Right.
But I don't think I'm going to do it. It's just a little bit too much to pay. Although, again, I mean, we say it's too much to pay, but then the guy goes out and puts up 50 or 60 and he's got it in him. But it's not a good matchup. So the only thing that makes Luka appealing is that he's probably going to put up 50 plus fantasy points, which easily, and always has the ceiling, and he's 10-8. But there's a lot of, and he fills a small forward spot. That's it. That's what I got for you.
I had Luka as, you know, he's a play. I mean, like he'll be low owned, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I'll you know, again, if I get to a couple more lineups, I'll play him. I got no problem with that. And you know, before I forget, you know, I'm looking through this before if we do anything with FanDuel. Before I forget, I neglected to mention that I thought that Fred VanVleet was like a really, really strong play for Toronto. I thought it was obvious. But I'm looking at my rankings here. I don't even mention him because he's like right under Luka here for me. Okay, so anything? So you think you want to put one Randall?
How did I miss on the VanVleet thing? Also, is there a minutes restriction on him?
I hope not.
I think there must be because he's only got a 30-minute projection, and I've never seen him with less than like a 37-minute projection.
We'll have to take a look at that. Well, let's take a look. Let me see real quick if there's a.
I'm gonna put him as a question mark, and I'll definitely have answers on
the
later.
See what it says here. It says expected to return all over the map when discussing him of late. He was not close. Healthy enough to be removed from the injury report. So nobody knows.
Yeah. Hey, look at you know what? What is the cut going to be? I think I might have a live lineup. Jeez, what do you know?
-1, right?
It was looking like -1. I hope it is because Patrick Rogers would have gotten me in there as my last guy, and Sam Burns turned it around today to get to 2 under, which was nice.
I really hope that English finished like +12. You know what I mean? I don't even want it to be like.
Yeah, you don't want it to be close. It's really annoying if it is. I'm with you. I had tons of English, and he was in my.
I'm sure he's accommodating us. I mean, he was like all over the place this morning.
What's the matter with that guy? All right. Well, hopefully this was helpful, guys. We will be with you guys at 6:30 Eastern for basketball, but it'll just transition from baseball over there. So come join us. Let's have some fun and let's make some money today.
I will do one last thing, just real quick. If I see anything on FanDuel that stood out relative to the other sites, you know what? Come live and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get through all of it live.
All right. Anyway, good luck, guys. And I gotta remember to upload all this stuff. Okay.
Good luck, everybody. Good luck, Sheets.
All right, later.
All right, bye-bye.